Mark Dunning, it's been 2 weeks since we last spoke. Just how disappointed were you with that performance against Halifax last time out?
Yeah, bitterly disappointed. We let an opportunity to progress and let some, opportunities that don't arise every day disappear through our fingertips, and it hurt then. It still stings now. So the overriding factor, was bitterly disappointing.
How's the debrief from that game gone between you and the players?
It's been open and honest, Mick. We fell well below the standards that we set ourselves. And I mean this with all the respect in the world. Forget the standards from externally. The standards that we've set ourselves internally were the ones that we spoke about first, and we fell well below them. And when I say we, I mean, we do everything together in this performance group. So from kit man to myself and everybody in between, we take collective responsibility. So, we fell short. We spoke about that. We've spoken about plans, and when we put plans in place, us not sticking to them meticulously. We've highlighted that on the occasions we did, we beat Toulouse at home, we beat Sheffield at home, we stuck in an arm wrestle against Widnes and beat Widnes at home, and on the games that we haven't done, they're self-explanatory as well. So we've spoken about that, and then we've also spoken about reactions to adversity and being able to deal with adversity as well, because I identified to the players, and again, they're an honest group. They put their hands up straight away, and we haven't reacted anywhere near as well as we could have done to adversity that we've faced.
You mentioned the word there, responsibility. A number of players that I've spoken to since that game have spoken out about letting you down personally, letting the supporters down for not following the game plan. How does that make you feel hearing the players take ownership for such a poor performance?
I'd rather not hear it, because we won't be sat here talking about it. It doesn't surprise me, whatsoever, because I know this group, and I know that this group care about me and my staff. I know this group care about each other, and it's a mutual thing. We've got professional respect for each other, and I know they care about the club and the spectators as well. If you'd have seen the changing rooms after that defeat, it was pretty evident. There was emotional and physical, I won't use the word catastrophe, but there was clearly some people that were emotional, both physically and mentally as well, and there was people knew within that change rooms exactly what we'd done and what we hadn't done. And again, there was people put their hands up within 15 minutes of the game. So I'd rather not, people not have to put their hands up, and rather that we could be on a different side of the emotion. But that's sport, and when you turn up and don't deliver, then 9 times out of 10 in sport you get what you deserve.
Rugby league, as a game, we know is played over 80 intense minutes. It's a game full of many different contributing factors that can affect performance and ultimately the end result. What contributing factors do you feel worked against you in that recent game with Halifax, and what pressures were put on you and your side from those contributing factors?
Oh, Mick, there's loads. There's loads. I think it's clear for anybody that watched the game. We didn't win the ruck. Both offensively and defensively, we lost the ruck, particularly in that first half. And when you allow teams of Halifax's quality, to get a roll on you, then it's really difficult to win back and to get back into that arm wrestle. And we couldn't do that. The game was too quick in and around the ruck. Although there was messages going on the field to, with tips and hints of how to slow the ruck down, we just couldn't get a grip of the ruck. We also lost Tom Holmes within 7 minutes, and I'm not giving you any excuses here. I'm giving you reasons and contributing factors, which to lose your half back after 7 minutes means Billy Jowett goes onto the field at half. which means he's your was my 9 interchange off the bench, which means then Jordan Lilly's got to do 80 minutes in the middle, and we found ourselves trying to swap Billy Jowett and Jordan Lilly for 15-minute spells to try and conserve a bit of energy. But when you do that, you're doing just that. You're conserving energy. You're not having a strike player on the edge as a half, so it was really, really difficult to do. And again, as we saw, it was too difficult.
We've had the week's break for the international weekend, third of the season gone. Not quite played everybody once yet. How do you assess that sort of opening third, the first 10 games?
We've played 9 league games. We're at 55%, 5 from 9. There's been a couple of performances in there that certainly not happy about. We're still striving for consistency as a new group and as a new team that we've put together. This year, well documented the changes that we made, and it's been well documented the injuries that we've had as well. If you look at our top 3 signings in Michael Lawrence, Bodie Thompson, Jack Walker, I think they've played a combination of 6 games all year, and one of them was 4 minutes. So it's been tough. We're striving for consistency both in performance and selection, but we're not on our own. Everybody else in the competition, barring Featherstone Rovers, are all searching for the same thing, and that's consistency within team selection and consistency within performance. We've got to make sure that we find it quicker than anybody else.
You made a point about the injuries. I did something on Facebook with the Bulls fans, asking people about who they thought their marquee signings were at the start of the season, and as you said, Bodie Thompson, Michael Lawrence, Jack Walker, Tom Holmes all came out, and I think this is quite an interesting statistic that all 4 of them have only played 4 minutes and 28 seconds together, and that was round 1 against Whitehaven.
I didn't know that. Yeah, good start that. It's undeniable, Mick, isn't it? Again, it's not excuses. It's facts. It's what's happened. But on the flip side of that, we signed what we believed as a club to be, a Super League standard fullback, and we found a gem of a fullback in Tom Holmes. We knew that Tom Holmes was an outstanding halfback, and we was looking forward to 4 outstanding halfbacks creating real competition for each other. But we've found that Tom Holmes is actually an outstanding fullback as well, and for me, so far this year, he's been our player of the year. So again, through adversity, sometimes things come, and it came with Tom. It's how it goes. It's not us crying about injuries, the facts, and we've got to learn to deal with adversity a little bit better than we are doing at the moment.
What's the mood been like this week in training? Is there any particular areas that you as head coach are focusing on this week?
Tuesday was very, very tough. So we had our full debrief last week, and then we did something that I'm really passionate about. We had a club day on the Tuesday, and it's been planned for over a month. And we had all our teams invited to the event, and it was great to see some of our learning disability and physical disability players joining in with first team, reserves, academy, scholarship, etc. Unfortunately, the women's team couldn't make it that night, but they will do to our next event. So it was really important that we came together as a club on that night. Believe it or not, some of the players actually felt inspired, training with some of the LDL and PDL players, as was vice versa. Some of them players was training with their heroes. So really emotional night, and really, really well received night. And then we give the players 2 training sessions off, which was the Thursday and the Saturday. So I encouraged them all to spend some time with the families and get away and do what they needed to do to relax and recuperate. They was back in early this week and demonstrated the facts that they all have, and all look really well and healthy for it.
Whilst we've had that 2-week break, a new face in Connor Wynne has arrived at the club. Tell us a bit about that move.
We identified Connor in pre-season as somebody that was coming into the last year of his contract. Connor had played 20 odd games last year for Hull in Super League, and with Tony Smith going into Hull FC there, we wasn't sure. Coaches come in and out, and they have different opinions on players. I wasn't sure what his opinion on Connor was. And we did make an attempt in pre-season, but you know that was rebuffed by Hull, and we didn't get him. Since then, Connor's, you know, he's had some injury problems at Hull FC, and he's been out on dual registration at Newcastle Thunder. And then, you know, I was alerted to the fact that we could get something done for Connor by the board, and you know, within a day or so it was done. So you know, it was really good to get him here, and you know, we're looking forward to Connor, when he's fit and able, joining us on the field and being able to contribute to us.
Does he feature on Sunday against Barrow?
No, he won't do. No, as I say, you know, he had some injury problems earlier on in the season with Hull FC, and for whatever reason his rehab's not been what it needed to be. You know, so he's come in and he's had a full medical assessment from our medical team, who are fantastic and very diligent in what they do. And he's going to have a period of rehab where we need to do some certain things to make sure that when he does take the field, he's healthy enough to stay on the field, rather than, you know, us losing somebody in a key position quite early in the game.
It's been documented Hull FC are going to release him at the end of the year. Is there a chance for him to come here when he's fit, play, and earn himself a contract for next year?
I think there's a chance for anybody to do that, mate. You know, it's, you know, Connor's within the building now. You know, he'll get the same love and attention that all our players get, and you know, what he does out on the field will determine what happens with Connor in the future, whether that's here or elsewhere. You know, you don't play 20 odd games a season in Super League if you're not a good player. So, you know, Connor's a very good player, but he's got to A, get himself, you know, fit, and then B, once he gets his opportunity, you know, he's got to take it, because there's people currently holding shirts at this club who have done nothing wrong and will continue to hold them shirts until they do.
You mentioned players holding shirts. Is that a nod to Jayden Myers, who, in my opinion, has really stood up and been counted when given the chance to step in for the injured Joe Arundel?
Absolutely it is, yeah. Yeah, Jayden's been very good in the 2 games he's played for us recently. I think if you break down performances, he'd be in the top 5 of both, you know, the last 2 games. And he's shown me no reason within practice to leave Jayden out. So yeah, you know, he's at this moment in time is the holder of a shirt, and it's up to somebody else to take that off him.
The loan move for Connor Wynne, Mark, is that similar to Gary, a season-long loan?
I don't actually know the length of the loan. It's immaterial, Mick, because you know, the paperwork says one thing, and any loan agreement, as I said to you before, you know, after the first 2 weeks, any club can call that person back. Yeah. You know, so no matter which club it is and which player it is, that person can be here for 2 weeks without a clawback, and then after that, anybody can be called back, and you know, that's just the clawback period within the loan. So, like I say, I don't think anybody's going to be clawing Connor back right now because he's not fit to play. You know, so you know, it is what it is, and if Hull deem it the fact that they need him back at the club, then they're well within the rights to do that. Hopefully they will.
Jack Bibby, has that been extended, or has he returned to Huddersfield?
So Jack, again, you know, that's a paperwork thing. So Jack's gone over his initial 2 weeks, but he hasn't played for Huddersfield, you know, since going back. So when was in the Challenge Cup, he clearly couldn't play. Huddersfield didn't want in cup time, which I totally respect and agree with Ian Watson. I don't think I would if I was in his shoes neither. So he went back to Huddersfield and trained with them that week of the Challenge Cup and through the international break. But he's back with us now, and yeah, he's on the same situation as a Gary and a Connor Wynne.
That obviously leads me on to my next question. You know, you've got 4 players in on loan. You can only use 5. Does that put paid to using dual reg for the foreseeable?
No, because as I've just said to you, you know, one of them's not available in Connor. So, you know, it's not ideal. It doesn't breed, you know, consistency within selection, but that's the business model we've got to use, and we've got to use it to the best of our ability. So, you know, I'm going to have to, you know, juggle things about and muddle things about, and you know, we'll do what we've got to do to get the 2 points and the best team on the field to do that. I
know you mentioned the business model there, Mark, but obviously I'm guessing there is quite a fine line in obviously having players from Hull, Huddersfield, Castleford, and generating that needed consistency which you talk about.
Yeah, but like I said to you, the Gary one, and the Bibby one, they're long term unless there's an issue to claw back. So there is a little bit of continuity in there. It's not perfect, but I don't know anybody within the game that finds loans and dual reg perfect. So we as a club are no different. I think we do very well to manage the loan and dual reg systems that we use.
What's the team news for Sunday? Because I think I've still got potentially question marks on about 6 or 7 players.
Which 6 or 7 have you got? Or do you want me to go through what's not selected?
Yeah, well, we've got the long-term ones. I think with like Joe Arundel.
So I'll go through what I've got on the board for you, Mick. We've got Brad Ho, who is almost becoming the forgotten man. Played in the World Cup against New Zealand a few months ago for Jamaica. He's still struggling. He's had a back operation. There's no time frame set on Brad yet. It's actually now, if not when he returns. So, we're doing our very, very best to support Brad and his family with that. Joe Arundel, we've got about 4 to 5 weeks left yet of his rehab and injury. Michael Lawrence is still a couple of weeks away. So we was aiming for Swinton. It may be too tight for Swinton. It'll be touch and go for Swinton. If not, hopefully it'll be the Bash. Same with Bodine Thompson. He shouldn't really have played against Halifax. He rolled his ankle in practice on a rutted field here at Tong. The mark of the man put his hand up and did what he could. But he's got a tendon problem within his foot, so it's not actually his ankle. It's in the instep of his foot. So he's 1 to 2 weeks away. Ben Blackmore should have come off against Halifax, but we had no troops left with a bit of a back spasm and a back problem. It's nothing too serious, but again he'll miss this weekend, so he's 1 to 2 weeks away. Kevin Appo, exactly the same. He came off against Halifax with a back problem. Tom Holmes, we've had some good news, but not the news we wanted. So when Tom did the injury, we thought it might be something that we could just get over and he'd be available for the next game. However, when he was assessed quite quickly afterwards, there was some questions about his ACL, which was the last thing we wanted to hear. So we've scanned him. His ACL's all clear. Structurally is fine, but he's not going to be ready for this week, so he'll miss this week. And hopefully it'll be Swinton. If not, it'll be the Bash. And then, as I say, Connor Wynne's. We're probably looking at about 4 to 6 weeks for Connor to fully do his rehab, and for us to be confident that he's in a position where he's not going to break down again.
One name that I had a question mark over was Brad England.
Yeah, Brad England's. He's chomping at the bit, shall we say. The medical department and the S&C department would probably like a little bit more time with Brad. However, I can tell you now he'll be in the 21-man squad for the weekend. Whether he plays or not, I don't know just yet, but I think the list I've just given you shows you the necessity for Brad to be in the 21.
And Massey Matongo as well, Mark.
Yeah, Massey. Sorry, I missed Massey out. Massey's again a couple of weeks. So he's probably in and around the Bash.
I know you're never going to use injuries as an excuse, but the fact that you're reeling off another 10 players, some of those key players who would be walking into any championship side, you're doing it tough again.
Rugby league's tough, life's tough, isn't it, Mick? So, again, that's what we've got to deal with. That's the adversity we've got to deal with. There's other clubs out there got a similar injury list. Maybe not of the quality of ours. But the shining light is that once we get these people back and on the field at the same time, then there's bright things ahead. We've just got to batten down the hatches and do what we need to do until we can get all these people fit and healthy again and back on the field.
With Connor Wynne injured, you've got 2 places available. Is there any dual reg this weekend?
Yes, there will be.
From Leeds, I presume.
Yeah, from Leeds. Yeah.
Obviously, Mark, there's this fixture against Barrow. It's like a run of 5 games against sides that are all below Bradford, currently in the table. I know you won't use that word complacency, but fans will probably be looking at the fixture list and probably thinking, this is a chance for Bradford to find some consistency and put a string of performances together.
Yeah, and I can understand why they would be doing that. And if I was a fan, I'd probably do the same. In all honesty. So, what I've got to do is make sure that our players don't disrespect any opposition, because it doesn't matter where you are in the league table. If you don't turn up with the right attitude every single week, you get your backside smacked, and we can't afford to do that. We can't afford to be off at any point. So. I'm not looking at the next 4 or 5. I'm looking at the next 2, because unfortunately, due to not being in the Challenge Cup anymore, we then get another break. So, the next 2 are really, really important to us, as every game is. But I'm telling you now, Barrow and Swinton will get the exact same respect as a Featherstone or a Toulouse.
And just a little bit on Barrow, 13th in the table, finding the second season in the Championship tougher, but when you actually look at their results, and I've seen a few of their games, certainly their TV game against Batley, they've only had, every game they've been competitive. I think they've just had 2 tough games really, against Sheffield and Toulouse, and even then they only lost by 20 points.
Yeah, listen, I've never been to Cumbria or played against and coached against a Cumbrian team that rolls over and accepts defeat. So they're a proud bunch of people up there. It's a lovely place to go. They're certainly built differently from some, and they will be ready. They'll be waiting to try and ambush us when we get off that bus. No bones about it. Teams with Jared Sammer and Josh Ward and Greg Worthington and people of that ilk in are very, very dangerous. So they've got threats. They've signed young Rio Corkill from St Helens, who made his debut in St Helens first team last year. You don't do that if you're a mug. So, they've got a big forward pack. Some of them that we know, Ben Evans and people like that, and some that the people that are playing will know because they've played against them. The seasoned professionals. So they'll get every ounce of respect they deserve. But I'm expecting us to be somewhere near the best version of ourselves.